for clarification, I'm Julie Paul, and I'm the Chief Development Officer here at here at Southeastern. I've been here in this role. I'm starting my 4th year. We've been here in Florida for about 4. We love it here. But today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about why I love to do what I do and why you all should be involved in doing what we're doing. So I lead a team of about 10 people, men and women who are excellent at what they do. I tell everybody I have a team of aces, and that is the truth. We do not have a weak link, and every single one of them are excellent at their job. We all have different skill sets and different things that we are fantastic at, but we all come together in a collaborative effort to achieve the goals that we have, which is the reason our department exists, is to resource the vision of the Office of the President and the mission of SEU. But I just want to kind of start today with a question. And by the way, this is interactive, and I am not comfortable with silence, so if nobody answers, I will really start calling on people, so you just need to know that. But whenever you hear advancement, the word advancement, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Money.
There you go. That's what everybody says. Anything else?
Fundraising.
Donors.
Relationships.
There you go. Okay.
Did we say money?
Yes,
We did. Yes. Yeah.
Alumni.
Yeah. Okay. Alumni. That's good. Yeah. When most people hear advancement, either they take a step back because they think, okay, this person is going to ask me for money, or their eyes glaze over and say, I have no clue what you do. Or they think, okay, they must, put on a gala or a golf tournament or something like that every once in a while. But I just want to talk today about what advancement really is. And it's not a department. It's not even fundraising. It doesn't really have a whole lot to do with money. It's the byproduct of advancement. What advancement is exactly what I said before. We are resourcing the mission of a nonprofit, and in this case, it's SEU. And today I want to talk about the truth is that advancement isn't a department, but it's actually every single person on this campus that is a part of SEU. Every single role at SEU fuels kingdom impact. And I just want to start by asking the question, so who knows what our mission is? Who can say, what's our mission?
Help students discover and develop their divine.
There we go. That is why are we doing that?
So they can serve Christ in the world for spirit-empowered
Life
life learning and leadership.
leadership.
There you go. There you go. The truth of the matter is this, that we exist in a very special ecosphere here. We have the privilege of working at a space where not only will we see each other now, but Lord willing, we will see each other for all of eternity. We are brothers and sisters in Christ, and we are working for an eternal goal, not a worldly goal here. That is one of the reasons that I love doing what I do here at SEU, is because the impact that we make here when a donor gives a gift and sows into this fertile ground here that is SEU, they are not only creating a legacy for them here, but they are creating a lasting legacy that impacts all the way into eternity. I live by the mantra, and I always have, this one life will soon be past, and only what's done for Christ will last. So every day I get to work in a space where the actual work that I do has kingdom impact, has kingdom effect. And we're going to talk about that today, about how all of us are doing that. I know you guys already know this because you're educators, or you're supporting our educators that are doing that hard work of sending out students, but are we really thinking every single day about how much we are impacting the kingdom in every action that we do, in every word that we say, in every relationship that we have? What does that really look like, and why should we all be doing this all together? So today I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit and just show you how advancement works, but more importantly, I'm going to show you how you guys are actually already a part of it and you don't even know it. Or maybe you do. But what I did is I created, on your handout you'll see there's 5 pillars of truth that I just want us to go through a little bit today and talk through, so that you guys can understand how you can be a part of advancement and how you are already doing that. and we're gonna walk through that. So pillar number 1 is we are all advancement. So I want you to think of advancement as a relay race where faculty and staff are the first runners. You guys are setting the pace. You're getting us out in front. You are doing that hard work of that first leg. Advancement, our team, is we're going to take the baton from you and we're going to run it to the donors so that they can see the transformation that their gifts make possible. So you guys are teaching, you're mentoring, you're loving students, and you're creating the stories that help us take that to the donors for the next leg of that race. When you love a student well, when you are pouring into them, when you are helping them through a hard time, when you are helping them find their classroom on this first week of school, or even whenever you have to have hard conversations with them and let them know that the work that they're giving is probably not their best. You are already advancing SEU in that. And you are starting a story that we can tell to our donors and to our partners. Right now, in just a moment, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about how students are already impacting donors, but I want you guys to think of one student success story from your class or your office or even a hallway conversation and what role you played in that. And I'm going to ask for a couple of instances. For every pillar, I'm going to ask for a couple of examples, so just be ready. We're going to do that. But first of all, I just want to tell you about a change that we made in the last couple of years. When I came into advancement, we were an office of 4, and really we were just receiving gifts at that point in time. But leadership at SEU, they had made a great investment into enrollment to get our numbers moving forward, and then they decided it was time to turn that to advancement so that we could bring people in to see all the great work that we were doing. Advancement really is storytelling. That's what it really boils down to. That's why some of our best friends are SEU creative. That's the truth. But one of the things that we did right up front is we did a survey to our alumni and to our donors and said, tell us about how you feel about the impact that you're making at SEU. And not all of them, but a high percentage said, what impact? We don't know. We don't know the impact that we're making. We just know that SEU is doing good things and we feel like the Spirit is leading us to give. Praise God for that. But we are called to be good stewards with the gifts that have been given to us. And part of that stewardship is communication and letting them know what impact that they are making, because that is why they are giving. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. So one of the things that we introduced, and a member of our team, Sydney Herron, who's now Sydney Williams, she got married last year, and I keep calling her a last name. Sydney came up with a great idea that for our students who are receiving scholarships, we just need to do a quick short video for them saying thank you and send that to the donor who established that scholarship so that they could see the face and the impact that they were making in that one student's life. So invested a small amount of money, invested about 3 days worth of time, ran 30 students through, sent out the thank you videos. We received donor feedback from 100% of the donors that we sent that to. They also upped their endowment the next year or inspired somebody to come and give or start a new endowment. That was the impact that one story told. And it wasn't because we didn't do it because, hey, we want you to give more. We didn't do it because, hey, we want you to tell your friends to give more. We did it because it is so important for people to see what we are doing here at SEU and the lives that are being impacted here. So that is storytelling in a small capsule, and one of those changes that we made. I'd love to hear from you guys a couple of stories that you all would have, either from the classroom or from the office.
Yeah, one anecdote, so I've been working at Southeastern since 2016, took a brief departure, which we all know was a mistake, came back in 2021, but before I left, I'm a absolute coffee addict, and you'll find me at Portico at any time of the day. You'll probably see me there. There was a graduate assistant student, Natalie Rincon, who was a Portico barista as part of her GA role. So I got to know her through that context, but also stayed engaged with her through social media following her graduation from SEU. And because of that, I was able to see in one of her stories that she had been named, she's studying law at the University of Pennsylvania, and she was named editor-in-chief of their law school paper. And it's a pretty big deal at one of these top Ivy League institutions. And so because I was aware of it, and there may have been other folks at SU who were aware, but I was able to connect with creative and I think advancement about that, and they were able to do a piece on her recently in her role there, and so to continue to tell the story of how Southeastern has impacted our students. So just having that coffee-mediated relationship
Yes.
led to early visibility to a story about impact, and we were able to capitalize on that.
Right, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's huge. Anyone else want to share?
I have a
Yes.
story. So Mike is an athlete, nothing to do with Ivy League schools, but he was from Tampa, and I was teaching an intro to sport management class, and he sat there the first day, and all I went over was the syllabus. And he got up and left after class and went right to Rachel Wilkins, who was advising, and said, "Nope, drop me from that class. I can't do it." She's like, "What do you mean?" Yes, because she emails me and calls me, and I was like, "No, tell him to stay. We'll help him through it. I've got a great GA, like he'll be fine." Nope. So he dropped the class. He's like, "There's no way, I can't do it." Football player, so we talked him into doing it the next semester. Is not a top student, like just didn't understand, would ask random off-the-wall questions in class, but he tried really, really hard. And he would just say, like, I didn't know SCU was an option for me. My guidance counselors didn't talk about college. I didn't know about college. My family didn't, we don't go to college. Like, I didn't know this until a football coach came and said, "I think you can come play for us." And so he's like, "Okay, I'll do it." Oh, I have somewhere to live? Okay, I'll do it. Well, he lived with a mom and I think 7 or 8 sisters. All of their kids lived together. They all just kind of lived in this house together. And he just kind of clawed his way through school. Senior year, he's taking my sport finance class, and we're talking about individual budgets. And so we're, okay, as a class, if you graduate and this is your position and this is your salary, can you live off of that? Break down the budget. So we're doing it as a class. They're talking about, well, let's do $200 a month for groceries. That's not enough, $500. We eat a lot of protein, like they're going back and forth. And he raises his hand and he goes, "Why do we have a budget for food? We're just not using our EBT card?" And all the students were like, "Oh man." So I was like, that's a great question. And so we went through that whole conversation and talked about that, whatever. So he graduated. I think he started to do his master's and then kind of fell off that a little bit. He got married. He had I'm walking to Target with my kids about 6 months ago, and I hear, "Dr. Mueller!" And I'm like, who is that? He saw me, parked his car, got out and like left his wife and his baby, ran up to me to give me a hug, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, I did it. I'm teaching in Lakeland. My wife is pregnant with our second baby." Like, he's like, "I told you I was gonna get out, and I did it." So I still get goosebumps, and I just was like standing there crying, and my kids are like, "Wait, because we went to his football games and we'd see him and we have pictures with him," and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, like he did it. And so he goes home and visits his nieces and nephews in Tampa, and he brings them gifts. He's like, "They think I'm Santa. I bring them a little gift, they think I'm the best thing." So it was just like from not knowing, and then he goes, "Should I get a debit card or a credit card?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, let's talk about this." But he did it. It's a cool story.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. No, there are stories, there are countless stories like that across our campus that go back years, that go forward years, where one student is affected in that and it changes the trajectory of their life. What's even more amazing is that student, and I'm not sure what you said his name was. Khalid.
Yep.
So Khalid is now going on, and he is affecting other people's lives. He was touched by the Lord here. He was shown a new way to approach life here. He was given the tools that he needed to be able to support a family, to be able to be a good husband, to be able to be a good teacher, to be able to serve in his community. And so he's affecting Lakeland, he is affecting Polk County, he is affecting the church where he goes, he is affecting hundreds and hundreds of people just by that one touch that you did. And so that story right there is why donors love to get to SEU. That's why they want to be a part. So we're going to go to number 2 now. We're going to go to pillar number 2. Oh, did I start my? I didn't. That's all right. Okay. Yeah, I was going to do that. Anyway, Justin said, if you get done early, and I'm like, no, I won't get done early. So my thing is I gotta stay on task. Okay, pillar number 2, donors don't give to buildings, they give to transformation. I have not met a donor yet who's woken up and said, you know what, I've worked really hard all my life, the Lord has been good and gifted me with great things. I think I really just want to go give my money so I can build a building. I think I want to give to bricks. I think I want to give to mortar. I really like that tile. I hope it's used here. I hope they use my favorite paint color. Nobody does that. They're giving because of what's inside the buildings. So I want to ask a question. If you give, why do you give? If you give at your church, or you give, to a local nonprofit, or you give to SEU, or whatever you give to, I need you to think about that. I'm going to tell you our quick story. Jeff and I obviously raised in a Christian home, so we knew to give to church. We've always given to church. That is what you do. That's just in the lifeblood. But we started talking about giving to nonprofits early on in our marriage, and we were at a concert, and it was sponsored by Voice of the Martyrs. I had never heard of Voice of the Martyrs before, but we were at a concert, and they did a short presentation, and they gave us a magazine that showed about these people who are going out as missionaries and literally giving their lives, giving up their life for Christ. Couldn't even make it through I'm super, super sensitive, and I lock that down pretty tight because I don't like to feel that couldn't even make it through the magazine. And I thought, my goodness, these people are giving their whole physical being for the sake of the gospel. The least I can do is help support them in that. I was so moved by that, I asked Jeff if he would be okay if we looked at giving some of our money in that way, and we've been giving the Voice of the Martyrs for almost 20 years now. So I was given because I saw the impact of the gospel, and I saw people laying down their life to do that, and the impact that made. We give because we want to give to nonprofits that don't just have eternal impact, or don't just have worldly impact, but have eternal impact. We want them to meet tangible needs, but we also want them to meet that eternal need, which is the gospel, and everyone needs Christ. So we give because of that. I'd love to know a story about why you all might give and where.
Angela and I ever have given to St. Jude's. I mean, we give to the church and we give to Southeastern a little bit.
Thank you. Every gift counts.
We give to St. Jude's because what they do for kids and their families. Kids who have cancer can go there debt free, and there's a place for their families, and they never receive a bill. They provide for their transportation and their housing and their medical care, and I can't think of something else I'd rather my money go to.
Yeah. So once again, seeing a need, seeing a family that is in a space where they can't think about those things, but being able to help them have one less thing to think about while they're in that time of trial, and being the Lord leading you to do that. That's one of the huge reasons that people give to a lot of nonprofits. Thank you, Dr. Waddell. Does anybody else want to share anything?
Just briefly, and it's not nearly as emotional, my goodness. I'm a public radio geek, so I give regularly to their local station,
Yes.
WUSF. And I don't always agree with the things that are said on programming. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I know that the concept of making news and entertainment and opportunities to learn as a public good is something that I care deeply about. And so I've bought in hook, line, and sinker to the idea that I'm part of what makes it continue going. So there's an imaginary community of listeners. I don't know most people who listen to at the same time that I'm listening to it. But they're sort of a cloud of witnesses, if you will, of other NPR radio listeners. And so I give, not a lot, but it's one of the kind of virtual communities that exist in my mind and my heart, and I don't want it to go away, so I keep participating in it.
Okay, that's great. Yes. I think we gave, whenever Jeff was finishing his master's, we gave a car to NPR.
Nice. There you go, yes.
So just to highlight something here, I have no clue what the mission statement is of Voice of the Martyrs. I don't know it. Do you know what it is for St. Jude's?
I don't.
Do you know what it is for NPR? Okay, none of us know. No.
We give to St. Jude too, the top of the Danny's Dream newsletter, because Danny Thomas was the founder of St. Jude's. It
Yeah.
says no child should die in the dawn of life.
Okay, well so she is
I
special.
just.
She was always
Great.
No, 'cause we started similar, like literally one night I'm sitting on the couch and my daughter was a little baby and one of those commercials came on, like, I can't watch them anymore, but I'm like, okay, take all the money in my bank account right now.
But that goes to show that we are giving, and people give to SEU and want to partner with SEU, not because they hear our tagline, which is a great tagline. Please don't get me wrong here. Develop and discover their divine design is great. That does not have a face to it. I saw the people who were working and who were impacted in that magazine. I heard their story, and I decided that we needed to do that. Robbie saw that, those families who are in need, and wanted to give to that. Justin feels connected to those people at NPR because they share a common value of freedom of speech. And because of that common value they share, they want to work as a community to uphold that. It is personal. People give personally. And that is something that we have to remember. And why I'm talking about storytelling today is because, and why this matters, is because we can't go out to these partners. Clay in his new role can't go out to his partners either. This is important to career services as much as it is advancement. And just say, hey, we want you to look at SEU because we help students develop and discover their divine design. Nobody's going to resonate with that. But whenever we can go and we can share a story about a student, or we can share a story about a faculty member, or we can share a story about another church who was impacted because they were able to resource the services that we have here, those stories resonate. We have to remember, and this is something that our team knows so well, our donors are not ATMs. They are people, and they are people who have passions, and we're here to connect their passion to the resources here at the University at Southeastern University, so that we can come together for the greater good, for the glory of God, and for the impact on our students. That's who they are, and they care about that. So many of our biggest gifts came because a faculty member inspired a student or a staff member that went the extra mile. Donors caught the vision because they caught the passion. So I'm going to talk real quick. Last year we received the largest gift that SEU has ever received from the Graper Family Trust. It was a little over $16 million. Our team stewarded that. We had nothing to do with that gift. That gift came 6 years ago before I started because Robert and Sandra Graper loved the Lord, went to a small Assemblies of God church, and the Lord blessed them well, and they decided that they wanted to give to the education of Assemblies of God universities that were spirit empowered. So they took off on a trip around the nation, and they went to 6 Assemblies of God universities, and they listened to the stories that they told, and they talked to their faculty, and they talked to students, and they talked to the leadership. And Robert and Sandra Graper decided to give to SEU because they heard from Joe Davis about a class that he told, and listened to the stories that he talked about of the impact of his students and how much he loved what he did. That's why we got that gift, is because, well, and the Lord's orchestration and all of that, because he's sovereign over all. But that was why they connected to SEU, because they heard a story that said, okay, we want to be a part of this. And now, because of that one student who was impacted, this year, there are 15 students that are receiving scholarships this fall that are able to come here because of their gift that they're impacting. And so we get to tell that story back to their daughters and sons-in-laws to say, this is the impact that your parents are still making after they have gone to heaven, and their legacy is living on here. Those are the stories that we get to share. What time is it? Okay, I'm gonna skip that question. You guys get off that one, okay. Let's go to pillar number 3 and why you need to be a part of the story. Advancement stronger when faculty and staff are storytellers with us. You don't need to ask for money. You don't have to give money. You just need to be able to help us tell the truth about what God's doing here. I say this to our, we have, like I said, a staff of about 10, and 4 of those people actually go out and solicit gifts from our donors. When they go, I tell them, hey, it is better to take someone with you when you go to do that. We should always be approaching people in a group, like 2 or 3 people, just so that there is somebody there who can tell that story. So this could mean inviting us into your classrooms to meet students and asking us to bring a donor along. It can mean sending a quick email about a student breakthrough. This year specifically, we've hired someone who is actually going to be taking those stories and working with Eileen, who's our project manager from SEU Creative, to be able to share those stories through newsletters, through emails, and also just giving those to our staff and faculty so that we have those stories to tell whenever we're meeting new people or with donors. Coming to a donor lunch, just to be present and listen and just sit and talk to somebody. You don't have to give a speech, you don't have to sit up and say anything, but just to be around. Praying for our donors who are part of this mission too, and then being an ambassador for your college, your students, and SEU. So I want to touch on something. One of the things that can make or break a college is what is said outside of our campus. When I go out into the university, or when I go out into the community, there we go. When I go out into the community and I'm at dinner or wherever I am, at church, whatever that is, I'm always very cautious about what I say at SEU. We all have good days and bad days. Work, we all do. We work here, we're here a lot. But I know that, once again, only what's done for Christ will last. That's what resonates in my mind all the time. And when I am sharing a story that might put SU in a little bit of a bad light, that's only hurting our students who are here, because somebody might take that story and spread it somewhere else. When I share a story that resonates well and that is positive, somebody's going to take that story and share it somewhere else. So the ambassador that you are when you go out, when you leave campus and go home or to your church or to your ball games or wherever you're going, when you're sharing about SEU and what you share about SEU makes one of the biggest impacts that you can imagine on our team and anyone else who goes out into the community to look for partners to come and be a part of our space here. I have one question for you on this one. If you were sitting across from, let's say, our largest donor that I just talked about, Robert and Sandra, who are with the Lord, but if you were sitting across from them, what is one story from your area that you would want them to hear? Kelly?
I always go to our Arushi, who's like our most famous alumni, and she's won awards and had Fashion Week and New York Fashion Week shows and such. But one of the biggest things that I don't know if we talk about enough is she was raised in she's Indian. Her family's very, multi-faith, open to everything. But while she was here, she chose to become baptized, and she learned about Jesus. And again, we can't hide. That's the biggest takeaway. That's what I pray for my students more than anything, is that they grow in their faith in the Lord. I want them to get a job, but
Right.
Again, that's kingdom impact.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
So I have a student, and he actually works for a university in Florida, not this one, and he was just sharing with me, it's been a couple months, but he was sharing with me that he could go to that school and get his doctorate for free. but he chooses to come here because it's a Christian university, and people are constantly saying, that's just goofy, why are you doing that, you should go get the free education. And he said it was because of this. And so I think he got his undergrad here too, but he and his wife miscarried about 3 months ago. Actually, no, it was right before residency, so it must have been in April. And so he calls me wanting to, get advice. Should I drop my class? Should I take time off? What should I do? And then they, because he's taking time off work, he's constrained with money, should I just quit the program? And so we prayed, and he said, that's why I go there. So he showed up at residency, and he's still going.
That's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. Those are stories that our donors need to hear. And our donors resonate with that because they want to give, because a lot of them either A, are believers, or B, they share those common values of virtue, of mission alignment, and of must be 2 o'clock or close to, because I'm trying to lose my words. But that same value system that SEU has, that is great. Thank you for that. So I want to ask, what feels doable for you? Like, what is one simple way that you could help us tell SEU's story? I just want to hear a couple of those, and I am going to write them on the board.
I can share what the College of Education did at the end of last semester. We, with the help of advancement, identified individuals out in the community who are SEU missional fit, mobilizers, entrepreneur, could be in the field of education, maybe not in the field of education. And we brought them in for refreshments in the Welcome Center. And myself and Ted and our department heads, we shared stories, and basically exactly what you just said to do, and that was coaching from the advancement team. And it was powerful, and we'll continue to move them to the next step this academic year. But it's the storytelling that touches the heartstrings that enables them to act out of obedience, and whatever that may be. It may be that they're out traveling across the United States, which the ones that were invited, they are mobilizers, and that they share what's happening at SCU. And we'll see the fruit, but we're just in the beginning stages of it right now. So it's our board of ambassadors that's just being launched.
Great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa.
Southeastern is applying for a transformational grant through the Lilly Foundation, and around this concept of a kind of a new model for resource sharing and empowering other kind of mission-aligned institutions in the U.S. and globally. And in order to qualify for this grant, you're supposed to have a certain number of collaborators of different types. One of those is organizational collaborators. I haven't often found myself, just because of the area of the university that I work in spaces where I can connect readily with folks across our ministry network, or in some of our kind of academic discipline aligned networks. But where we do have a lot of face time is with education technology organizations, well-resourced kind of software developers and so forth. And so just by virtue of our very close relationship with our student information system provider, Gensbar, who's here today, we were able to get them to sign on as an organizational collaborator for that grant application like that. And we sent them a letter with proposed copy, and like, yes, absolutely. And that's because we've cultivated a close and intentional relationship with them over the years. I think we've had Gensbar for almost 30 years now. So that was illuminating for me as one of the ways that staff, administration, and folks who are not necessarily connecting with donor partners or potential donor partners in that ecosystem can still add value to the work of advancement at the university.
Yeah. And also that's great. Multi points of contact for one space is so helpful to us as well. And that is what occurred there with this. That's kind of like a, I don't know, 5-pronged approach to that. And that's the truth. I'm glad Clay's here. One of the things in our career development, career services space, is we in advancement want to work really closely with him in his department, because it is so important that our corporate partners and our businesses who are giving, either through sponsorships or through specific program giving, we want them to see how great our students are at SEU. That's great that you're giving to that, but you're giving because of these students. So here, let's partner together to see how we can, formulate new relationships with internships or new relationships for, employment out of college, or even, how can we help you with career development within your personal corporate spaces. Those are things that we're thinking about all the time, is how do we help the student here, not just in resourcing that through money, but resourcing through relationships, and then spreading those relationships to you guys, so that you all can become full circle, and so that your programs can grow and expand. That's advancement. We're advancing. So this is why I should be a teacher, because I don't really have a whole lot to write. But no, that's great, and that's kind of what we're getting to. As you can see, there's a theme here, which is this storytelling, and it's this relationship sharing that we get out of the storytelling that we do. But our fourth pillar is really, really important that I want to talk about, and that's building trust through transparency. So today I'm here to learn as well. I think that when I came on to lead advancement, there was a lot of ambiguity on what we did. There was a lot of ambiguity on where the money goes. And that is advancement as a whole. It's not just an SEU thing. That is usually across the board. It feels like a black hole where money goes in, reports come out, sometimes reports don't come out, and nobody's really sure what happens in between that space. So I want to tell you a couple of truths about what happens with the gifts that we received. First of all, those relationships are stewarded. Usually anywhere from 6 months would be a short timeline, but usually it's 12 to 18 months of just hearing from our donors, hearing what their passion points are, cultivating those donors, connecting them to people here on campus. Just like Lisa talked about, maybe sharing an event with them, maybe bringing them in to be an ambassador for our students or for certain programs. And those people are prayed over within our department, and then those gifts are prayed over before we go and solicit for those gifts. And then once those gifts come in, we're praying for good stewardship of that. We work super closely with our business office to make sure that the donations that come in go to the correct GL lines, that the people who have access to those GL lines know that those funds are there, and then that they are utilized for that. Are there mistakes? Yes, there are, but Phil and his team have really transformed quite a bit over there in the business office, and we've done the same to try to make that available and make that known. What I feel like, so that to say, once again, business is advancement. The business office is advancement because they are stewarding those funds. They are ensuring that the donor's intentions of where those dollars are going to go, or that gift is going to go, is realized in that space. They are part of advancement. But what I do think that advancement needs to work on is communicating the impact of those gifts to our donors. Like how have our donors felt about those gifts? And also just to share with everyone, hey, this happened over here, this happened over here, in College of Natural Health Sciences, or this happened in the College of Honors, or wherever that's happening, that a donor gift came in, and then we were able to realize certain things within the program. So I would love to just take this real quick time to share that one of our goals for this year is to build transparency here with the institution. We want to make sure that you all are very aware of what's going on in advancement, of what our goals and our priorities are for the year, how you can be a part of it, and how you can benefit from it as well. So I'd love to hear from you all just how we could be more transparent to keep you informed about what's happening in our space. And I'm actually going to take notes on that part.
So I'm still fairly new. I've been here a year. So my first year has been a lot of exploration to figure out who's who and like what department they belong to and what they do. So this is really the first that you and I have had a conversation about what you do. I think it would be helpful to maybe, I don't know if you could do it in a video or an email, or maybe we have meetings like this quarterly or something,
Mhm.
where different departments, even the partners, I've heard about different partnerships that we have. I don't really know much about it, because it doesn't affect my program, except I know one partnership does. But with these stories, I've been asked, hey, let's share a story. Okay, who do I share it to?
Mhm.
How do I share it? How do I know that it's been
Mhm.
received? Or what did you do with that story? So those are the types of things that would be interesting for me to know.
Great. Well, good, we are solving that this year already, so we are meeting with all of the, we will, actually today, we're speaking in front of the College of Natural Health Sciences, tomorrow we're at CSSH, and next week we are with you guys, and
You're coming to our college.
Is-
I don't remember the date
I
or the
don't
time. right
either.
now.
It's not this week,
It's
so
not
I
this
haven't
week,
looked at my
yeah.
calendar for next week. But that is one thing that we're
Yeah.
doing, and I am bringing the team so that we can show you guys who does what and who to share your stories with. That is one of the main things that we're doing. So good, yes. But I think what you said about sharing partnerships that we have, that's one of the things that we really need to do a better job of, whether that is cluttering up your email box with another newsletter, whether that is just, hey, this, advancements quarterly update, come and hear what we have going on, what those are. But once again, we're so surprised all the time when we share and we communicate better, we realize, oh, you know what? They have connections here to this person, or this person has connections here, in College of, it was amazing. We were working with a donor last year who was really interested in giving to Stillman Library, and we're still working with them. And then lo and behold, he's like, oh, you know what? I'm a pilot. I would love to meet someone in your aviation program. Those don't go together. But they did for this guy. And so, so we're working through that with him to say, yeah, let's get you in touch with Dr. Stevens and see what we can do from there. So it's just really, whenever we're sharing that information, we see that there's more points of contact and points of passion for them than just that one point that they start out with. So that's great. Anybody else have something else to add?
If we come across a well-resourced person who has affinity for Southeastern in the wild, and we have an opportunity to connect them to Southeastern and specifically to the work of your office, what is the most expeditious, endorsed, vetted way to make that connection? And are there talking points or anti-talking points as we're beginning that conversation with them and handing them off to you that you would recommend?
Yeah. So talking points is another thing that we're putting out this quarter, as a matter of fact, is, hey, when you're talking about SEU and you don't really know what to share, here's some great talking points to talk about right now. So you will have that. The most expeditious way, send Julie Paul an email. We will get to that. I have kind of a team that helps me go through that, and then we send that to the right person. It won't always be me contacting them. It may be our donor engagement or our donor relations, or it may be one of our gift officers that contact them, or it may be me, or it may be Michael, Dr. Steiner. Just depending on, kind of who they are and where they fit into the group. But yes, an email to me is guaranteed to go to the right person, and we follow up with that. So we try to be very, very diligent about anytime somebody wants to explore that with us, we want to help you there with that. So that's important. That's great. If there are more, and there are other things I should have put that on my handout, but I didn't. Email me, please, those. I would love to hear them. We love constructive feedback in our office. One of the major cultures of characteristics is candor. In our office, Eileen can attest to that, and we love to hear how we can do better. So please do. But I'm going to move on because I'm going to run out of time if I don't. So pillar number 5 is advancement as ministry. Generosity is a spiritual discipline. We're planting kingdom seeds together, and our actions have eternal impact. We talked before about why donors give. And I just really want to hit this home that as believers, our sole purpose here on earth is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. That's it. So yes, He does want us to. I'm sure Dr. Waddell and I will have a conversation after this about that, but I'm simplifying things. I am not a theologian.
Answer to the Westminster Catechism.
It is. There we go. So now you know my dirty little secret there. But But in essence, we were created to glorify God and to serve Him. And that's what we're doing in every single aspect of what we do in our work life. Yes, I'm called to lead a team. I'm called to encourage them. I'm called to hold the rudder and make sure that our priorities are set. I'm called to raise a certain amount of money every year. But all of that is way down line of that ultimate goal, and all of that is done because of that ultimate goal, which is to glorify God. And I think that it is important to remember that we are blessed to work in a place along our brothers and sisters in Christ where we can fulfill that every single day. Not that people can't in a secular space of work, but when you're allowed to do that in a space where you're able to pray with your students, like Deborah talked about, where you're able to pray as a team over your donors and lift that up even, to the president's office or the ELT or amongst staff and faculty, to just be able to call you all out and say, hey, will you pray for us this week? That's a gift that really doesn't resonate everywhere. And our team always tries to be very, very thoughtful of that. In the Bible, this was modeled for us in various ways. Not everybody's a Moses. Not everybody's a Paul. I always wanted to be a Paul. I'm more of a Peter than a Paul. But Moses had Aaron, who supported him, who was his mouthpiece, who held up his arms for him. Paul wouldn't have gone anywhere had Ananias not answered the call of the Lord to go and heal him while the Lord was making him into the greatest missionary that ever lived. Most of us here are not Paul, and we're not Moses. We're the Ananias and we're the Aarons that the Lord has gifted us with those talents to be able to send out our students. This last summer, we sent out over 700 students to the missionary field that impacted, thousands of lives, and those are great numbers. But since 1935, we have sent out 25,000 graduates from here into the world. That is millions and millions and millions and millions of people that have been impacted by the students that are here, that were taught the Word of God, that were taught how to live that out in their lives, whether they are in the boardroom, whether they are in the classroom, whether they are on the streets as a police officer, whether they are in the hospital as a nurse or a doctor. Those people are out in the communities throughout the world right now, sharing the gospel, living the life, being the hands and feet of Christ, and it's because of you guys that are right here. Those stories need to be told, and that's why I love to do advancement work, is because I get to hear those stories every single day. I always wanted to be an academic. I married one. It didn't work out for me. I play one on TV. But I love that I get to be at a space here at the university, at Southeastern University, where I get to hear those stories of impact and share them with others and invite them to come alongside us and be part of this great work that the Lord is doing here. And so I encourage you all, please, to share your stories with us. Think of them. Send an email. We're going to make it easy for you guys this year to share that with us. On your handout, there are 10 ways that faculty and staff can help advance SEU. We kind of talked through those and what that is. And if you all decide that you want to do that you want to be a help in any form or fashion, if you're comfortable going and talking to a donor, we need to know, because we will take you with us. If you know of somebody in your office or in your department that is comfortable doing that, we want to take you with us. And that's not just faculty and staff. SEU Creative is a great space. They make such impact for our students. They have so many great stories of our students. We'd love to take you with us. Kelly, we'd love to take Kelly with us. We do many times, and we take our students with us if you know those students. But that's what I just really wanted to drive home today, is that what we do sometimes seems a little bit adjacent from what everybody else is doing here, but actually it's not. We are here to serve you, we're here to tell your stories, and we're here to support your programs so that they can expand and continue to thrive. And that's all I have.